what happened to the sex guy? And you're like, oh, you didn't hear? He was a virgin. That'll kill you. Forget about it. The virginity's not lethal. I was at the airport the other day, and I saw this magazine. I had to pick it up here. It's called Complete Woman Magazine, all right? Just a splendid periodical. Oh, subscriber, okay. And so this guy's in here. They're talking about sex. And this guy says, quote, he said, sex is extremely important to me. When I'm in a relationship, it's essential. In fact, a year ago, I felt compelled to break up with a woman I really loved because we didn't have sex enough. The lack of sex nearly killed me. So apparently he's rushed to the hospital for lack of sex or something. But this is what we're basically told, that if you're not having sex, something's wrong with you. Maybe you're dropped on your head as a baby or something. But then they say, but if you have had sex, it's too late for you anyway. We hear this constantly. And I know some of you are virgins, and I know some of you are not virgins. And frankly, I don't care what happened last weekend, last month, last year. I mean, it's in the past, and I mean, I care, but what's happened has happened. For those of you who are virgins, I say good for you, because people who get married as virgins have a divorce rate that's 60 to 70% lower than those who won't wait for marriage. Now, some of you are thinking, well, Jason, look, I'm not a virgin anymore. Or Jason, I had my virginity taken from me. Does that mean I'm going to have a messed up marriage? If you're like me, you're so sick of the whole divorce thing. I was just over to high school in Washington. After the talk, a junior comes up to me, and he goes, Jay, I know what you mean about divorce. He said, Jason, my dad is on his 9th marriage. High school junior had seen his dad get 8 divorces. Now in LA, I live in San Diego. Up the coast in LA, there are jewelry stores in LA where you can rent wedding rings. You don't have to buy them anymore. Because they know you're just going to dump your wife. You might as well save some money in the whole exchange. I found that out because I had to go shopping recently because Kristalina and I got engaged a couple months back, which is a pretty cool deal. So thank you very much. So, but you know, we're also sick of the whole divorce thing. So it starts to make a bit of sense. But what about everything that comes before sex? Can you do this on a date? Can you do that? Easiest way to figure it out is this. We're at this high school in Chicago. At the end of the talk, we did a Q&A. Guy raised his hand, and he goes, okay, Jason. He says, your talk was fun. He said, but can we get specific? I said, well, sure. And he goes, well, I want to know exactly how far I can go with my girlfriend. I said, well, that's a good question. What do you want to do with her? And he was like, uh-oh. I said, yeah, okay. I said, well, we're not in 3rd grade. We can be specific, mature. What do you want to do? And he's like, cool. He's like, can we do this and this and this and this and this? And he goes through this list of sexual favors. And I said, well, okay, we'll slow down. Pick one. And he's like, okay. He goes, I got it. He goes, oral sex. Can we do that on a date? And I said, well, I'm going to have you answer your own question. And he's like, oh, good. And I said, well, do you want to get married one day? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get married one day. I said, that's cool. So I said, so if you're going to get married one day, I said, that means that your future wife, your future bride, she's out there somewhere right now, isn't she? And for the first time in his 17-year life, he thought about his future wife. And he said, yeah, she's out there. Cool. And I said, but let's say she doesn't live here in Chicago. Let's say she lives where I live in San Diego. School's just getting out right now. So she's coming home from class with her boyfriend, who's a guy that you are never going to meet around your future bride. And he's saying, baby girl, I love you so much. I'm always going to be here for you. Your eyes are so beautiful. And she's like, oh, you're so sweet. And he walks her home, and he sits her down on his couch, and he's like, hey, baby girl, you feeling fine? Because you looking fine. She's like, stop. And I said to the guy, I was like, dude, I go, you know what's going on that couch, don't you? And he was like, yeah. And I go, that guy? I said, that guy, he's emotionally manipulating your future bride into giving him oral sex, trying to make her think that if she gives him that, he'll like her more when he's just using her more. I go, does that bug you? And the guy was like, ooh, gross. No, I don't care. And I was like, really? Does it bug you at all? He looked at the floor, and he's like, no, I don't care. And I go, what if it was going on right now as we speak? That guy doing that with the woman who will kiss your children goodnight. Does it bother you? The guy was like, guy next to him in class was like, oh, I'd be ticked off. And the guy's like, what? And I said, see, it's pretty easy. If you don't want some guy going there with your future wife, it's a good place to draw the line as well. And this is not a condemnation of any of us. It's a calling to all of us of a better and a deeper kind of love. And I'm not going to stand up here in front of you guys and say, you men in the audience, you guys have to be like me. Because it's a joke. It's a lie. If you're a guy and I'm a guy, we're identical. Look in your heart. Same thing as mine. there's this desire to lust after girls, but then there's this desire to properly love a girl at the same time, and there is a tension. But I want you girls to realize the guys you're sitting next to, we've all been lied to about manhood. We're supposed to learn it from our dads, but a lot of us guys haven't seen our dads since we were 3. Some of us see our dads every day of the week, but we hardly even know the guy. No matter what our relationship is with him, we've been lied to at some point in the locker room that, dude, if you want to be a man today, dude, you got to get some from the girls. Because if you get some with ladies, dude, you're the man. But think about it. Get some from a girl. Getting some sounds like a couple of like 7th graders, and they sneak into a convenience store and they shoplift like Jolly Rancher candies, and then they like run into the parking lot. They're like, they run funny because they're all disproportionate because of puberty. Their feet are too big and their knuckles drag. And then, they get into the parking lot, and then they hide behind a dumpster, and they pull the candy out, and they're like, I got a red one and a grape one. Whoop, a grape one. Did you get some? Did you get some? And you notice the same mentality. Dude, you get some with that chick? Dude, you sexually conquered that girl? Because if you emptied of her innocence, you robbed her purity. Dude, you're the man because you emptied the girl. And we know that this is totally missing the point of manhood. I don't get my manhood by emptying a girl. I get my manhood by denying myself for love of a girl. And as Christian guys, we only need to know one verse in the Bible to love women. It's out of Ephesians 5, and it just says, men, it says, you love your brides like Christ loved the church. You hand yourself over for her to sanctify her so she would be holy and without blemish. And it says that to do this, Jesus was praying in the agony in the garden, and his sweat became like drops of blood and fell onto the ground. A lot of you, I'm sure, go on to study medicine. You'll learn about this. It's called hematidrosis, which means under extreme stress, the capillaries in your skin will rise up, come in contact with sweat glands, which burst, and you bleed out of the pores of your skin, and your skin becomes a very deep bruise. And I remember the worst bruise I've ever got is I played 3 years of college baseball, and I think I actually set a record for our university, a very prestigious record. I was hit by the most pitches in a game, okay? So it was the first inning of doubleheader. I came up, and first inning, the guy throws the first pitch, and he throws a curveball down and in, and he hits me in the calf with it, pop, and I'm like, didn't hurt. Come back up like third inning. I'm like, dude, there's no way he's going to hit me 2 times in a game. So crowd the plate, and he throws the next pitch inside, and he hits me in the stomach with it, pop, and I'm like, didn't hurt. Came up about like 7th inning. I'm like, dude, there's no way he's going to pop me 3 times in a game. Just crowd the plate, and he has no one on base. So he just does his full windup, throws his fastball, which they clocked at about 90 miles an hour, and he thought that this one would be delightful to throw into the middle of my thigh. And so just pop, and I land on the dirt, and I'm like, it didn't hurt. But the bruise was so cool because you could see the seams of the baseball bruised into my thigh for about 2 weeks. So it was a cool bruise. Now, imagine, though, your body with a bruise like that. Then they would take Christ and scourge him on top of it. They would wrap his arms around a pillar so his back is stretched out. Then they would come to him with 4-foot wooden rods. At the end of the wooden rods, they attach whipping tassels. And at the end of the whipping tassels, they attach fishing hooks, fishing weights, pieces of glass, metal, and sheep knuckle bones that are very coarse. So when you'd crack it onto a guy's back, the weights hit you like you hit a piece of fruit. It would soften the back tissue. And then the hooks would sink in. All they would have to do is just pull it down, and it would take the flesh off the back of a man from the nape of the neck to the heels of the feet. It said you can actually count a guy's bones in his back. They would do this within an inch of killing him, then they stop, cover him with a linen that then dries the wounds, they'll later rip off, and then they put the crown of thorns on his head. But the crown we always see is this dinky little ring around the forehead. But the burial cloth of Christ indicates that he had 36 puncture wounds through his scalp, through the eyebrows, through the ears, the back of the neck, the top of the head, that they had actually woven this thing like a basket or a helmet. And I bought recently the same type of plant that was used for the crowning of thorns. They made this into a crown instead of a basket, but it gives you the idea that they would have taken this type of a plant, that they would have crowned it onto the head, and then it says that they would have beaten it into his scalp with a reed to keep it affixed there. And once it was put into place, it says that they would have put the cross on his shoulders. Now, he didn't carry the whole cross, just a cross beam, which weighs about 135 pounds. So for those of you guys who lift, imagine putting a 45-pound plate on each side and doing lunges for about 650 yards without the skin on your back. Then they would take him to Calvary, nail him up to the cross, and he would gasp for breath for 3 hours as he completely emptied himself for love of his bride, the church. And then St. Paul says, men, love your brides just like this. Now, you guys are probably thinking like, Jason, what do you want me to do? Like, go up to some girl in the cafeteria who I like, take my belt off, say, hey, honey, look, I love you, whack, whack, whack. I mean, she'd probably get freaked out, so I wouldn't go there. But how is a guy supposed to sacrifice himself for a girl? Well,